Okay.
Hello and welcome to another Chatbox podcast. It's episode 54 here of the Chatbox podcast today. How are you doing today? Right, let's crack on. Each week, as you know, I have a guest to talk about their career or their job. So let's crack on with this week's guest. It's broadcaster Michelle Ward. Hello, Michelle.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Lovely. How are you?
Good, thank you very much.
Brilliant. Congratulations on your music, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, long time that's taken to get out there. So debut release 2 weeks ago, and then I've got more to release over the next couple of months.
Welcome along. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Yeah, I've just been on the radio today between 10 and 1, which is my slot on the radio, Phoenix FM. That's Monday to Friday. So yeah, it was a good show.
What was your favourite track to play today then?
I think a band called the Condriacs, who are not signed. They've got a lot of followers on Facebook, and they've got a new track out called Crazy. They've released quite a lot of songs, got a really good fan base, and you won't hear them on major radio stations. It's very, very difficult, probably as you know, to get unsigned music onto the big stations. So it's great to be able to play their music. And so it's the Condriacs with Crazy.
Brilliant. One of my favourite songs is as I said when we were talking off air, Phil Collins, Dee Dee Lover, Phil Bailey. What a duo to sing that song to if you've heard it.
Yes, I have heard it. Very, very good. They're both drummers, aren't they? And
yeah.
Singers. Yeah.
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 And it's all because I was told a story about that. It's all because Phil Collins had wanted to do a song with Earth, Wind and Fire. We was a big Earth, Wind and Fire fan.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are here to talk. We'll touch on your music a little bit along the way, but we're going to talk about your broadcast career, if that's okay today, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine. You're not a drummer, by the way, are you? I thought you might be tapping a bit there. You're not a drummer?
No, I'm not, sorry.
All right.
I'm just a man who likes to tap when he hears a great song. I'm normally like this in a radio studio, but I normally have a desk here and I normally tap along the desk.
Yeah.
I don't like it when there's guests in the studio. I normally do it when there's no guests in the studio. When we did have guests, I normally just tap, and when there's just me with the headphones locked in. And then I just talk to the local area like you.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Anyway, are you ready to go? Rumble in the jungle? Okay, let's go for it. Question 1. Where did you start your broadcast career?
Phoenix FM. So I've only ever been on one radio station besides doing a couple of bits on BBC Essex. But yeah, it's been Phoenix FM all the way. I started there I was selling advertising because we're a community-based radio station. So we do a little bit of advertising to pay for the station. And I was doing that. And then the Saturday radio show came up, which was called Saturday Brunch at the time. And my boss said, do you want to have a go? And I'd never even thought about doing radio ever. And I said yes. And then I did that for about 2 years before I moved over to daytimes.
Yeah. Brilliant. We'll bat on to question 2 then. Who were your inspirations in broadcasting growing up?
Music was always really important to me because I'm a musician, but I can't remember any of the presenters I'd listened to. The main presenter I can remember listening to was James Whale with late night radio, and he would be a hero. I couldn't do a show like James is, and those people who do talk radio, LBC, have got a journalist background, and they know everything about politics. They're very, very sharp, but I admire all of those, guys and girls that can do that job, because I think when you've got no music to fall back on, that is a really tough call, just to be dealing with telephone calls as they come in, and they don't always get calls. It could be 20 minutes before somebody rings in, so they've got to keep on talking and keeping people interested. But I would say James Whale, out of everybody, is my radio hero.
Yeah, as you say, James Whale is a legend.
Yes, he is. He is. And Ash as well.
And
I remember he's, sidekick Ash.
do you remember Ian Collins' old sidekick called Alan?
No.
He used to be on Invicta, was it?
Might have been.
It used to be in the Essex, Kent area, Invicta.
Yeah.
Ian Collins' old sidekick, Alan, is a good friend of mine, and Ash. They all know each other because they used to work at the old Talk Radio, which is now Talk Sport.
Yeah, yeah.
But then it got rebranded again, and James Whale came back. They had to bring Whaley back.
When I first listened to James, Ash didn't actually talk. He would say, Ash, get on with something, and you'd hear nothing. And as the years went on, Ash started speaking, and now you can't. Ash is just more or less, partnering the shows, which is very funny because they fight quite a bit. It's a good combination.
Yeah, and now Ash is now doing the studio bits, and James is doing it from home. And Ash is really funny because they had a joke about his hot tub the other week. And James Whale said he's not letting Ash in his hot tub until he puts his hair in a net.
Too right, he needs to do something with that hair. I've seen him on the webcam. I'd love
them to there was also I remember him. He used to work with Chris Miles at Radio Air.
Oh, right. Didn't know that.
Yeah. Chris Miles used to look after Carl Kingston's show and his show in the evening at Radio Air.
You're a fountain of knowledge.
I'm not a legend. I'm not a radio guru. I'm just a guy who loves radio. I don't like GB News just because it's pretty. I've had some pretty divulge reviews about it, which has put me off. And I did take a little watch this morning with that Patrick Christie's, who's moved from Talk Radio in the space of 6 days to GB News, which I'm quite disappointed about, if I'm honest with you, because he was coming out of his shell on Talk Radio Drive when Mark Dolan left. They've all been. I don't think James Whale will ever go to GB News.
Well, you don't know.
I don't think he will because he slates it all the time. And he's only given it 3 to 6 months of survival. And I don't think it'll last long, if I'm brutally honest with you. Anyway, question 3. What is your favourite part about the job?
The favourite part about doing the radio show is, I would say, playing unsigned music. So I do guest interviews. I do the weather, local travel. I speak to the local council on a Friday for their updates. I speak to all different types of people, even some celebrities sometimes, local charities. But the best bit is having unsigned music, as I said, because you can't get a lot of airplay for unsigned music. So if I play it, I don't just play it once. I'll pick a song, or normally I have about 5 or 6 songs throughout the week, and they get played every day, more or less. So people get used to hearing them.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's brilliant. That is. We'll move on to question 4. And this is the most interesting question. How has COVID affected your life and line of work?
Outside of the radio, I was doing cover gigs, which is my income. So when COVID kicked off, all the gigs, all of my musician friends, all of our gigs went. That was weddings, whether you do pubs, charity events, everything just died a death. So COVID affected that part of my business really, really badly. There's just nothing you could do about it. Even doing online gigs, not really something you can do because it's you need to be earning money. So with regards to the radio station, we've kept it sanitized. There was only a crossover between myself and breakfast, so kept out the room. Everything was cleaned down. We've all got our own microphone covers. So I've carried on doing the radio show even right the way through the pandemic. So I've not had any time off. One of our radio presenters actually got COVID. A couple of them did. One of them got it quite seriously because his other job is as a paramedic, and he was at death's door and nearly died. And he's still a year and a half later suffering the after effects with oxygen tank. Still is able to do his radio show, but that's how seriously he was affected by it. So
does he do it from home then?
No, he's in the studio now. He's back in the studio now. So he does his show again. But yeah, he had COVID and it was touch and go whether or not he was going to pull through. I mean, really bad.
How did it affect you? You didn't catch COVID, did you?
No, I've not had COVID. Well, I don't know. The thing is, you don't know unless you've had an antibody test. So I could have had COVID and been one of the people that has it and passes it on. But I was very, from the very beginning of the pandemic, I made sure that I wore a mask, even when people didn't have to. So I started wearing one straight away. And hand sanitizing, cleaning the shopping, all that sort of thing, cleaning the studio, making sure the door handles were all fine. But obviously we had no guests in the studio. All the guests went on to telephone or Zoom. And so the shows have changed. It's starting to pick up a little bit, but again, it's still, I've not had a live band in the studio since COVID.
You will get there.
Yeah, hope so.
Have you been jabbed?
Yes.
Double or double?
Double.
What did you have?
AstraZeneca.
No side effects?
Yes, I had bad side effects with the first dose.
Second?
No, nothing at all.
Nice, that's good. Final question on my list. What advice would you give to young aspiring broadcasters who are starting out?
I would say get in contact with your local radio station, local community radio stations, because all areas have them, and say that you'd like to get some work experience. Most of them are quite happy to have work experience so you can get an idea of what that type of radio is like. And then really it's to get involved with the local radio station, whether you go in, you volunteer, you help out on somebody's show, you maybe get a little feature, you can do podcasting yourself, build up an audience, do it that way, and then try to get on some of the bigger stations and see where you want to fit in. I think the main thing is to have your own personality and not to try and sound like somebody else. You just need to be yourself, with your own voice and all your personality traits, because people will like you for being you. I think with radio you can't hide behind anything, so if you are false in any way, people can pick it up straight away. So that's what I would say. Go to your local community radio station, show some interest, and you will probably find that you'll be helping somebody out on their show, and then eventually get your own 1 or 2 hour show a week and start there before you start progressing onto the bigger stations.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. That's it for today. Thank you for joining us, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Do join me again soon for another Chatbox podcast, but for now, please give it up for Michelle Ward. Do join me again soon for another podcast. Thank you very much for listening and watching. This will be available on my website, wix.com, and YouTube. But for now, as I always say, that's a wrap.